pure experiences.
Now, if you ask me what is the most important quality in a student, in a seeker, so that he or she can progress on her path quickly and effortlessly, smoothly, what is the most important quality that enables a seeker to do that? My answer will be surrender. Now it sounds kind of airy-fairy and kind of spiritual, but even religious, but that's why I took up this topic, because I wanted to clarify what it is. So you'll hear this word surrender a lot in the teachings. You need to surrender, you need to and give up the resistance, you need to bow to the teacher, you need to serve the God, and all these things we are used to hear all these things in from masters and in various teachings and scriptures and in books. Now, what does that mean actually? Why I'm saying that this is the most important quality? Now, we are going to have more meetings on, especially on the topic of qualities of a student or a seeker. But this is, it deserves its own meeting. Actually, it is so important. Now, if you have read my blog, there is a big article on surrender, and I was surprised because it is a very popular article on my blog. Actually, when I wrote it, I was not expecting that anybody will read it. It became popular for some reason. By popular, I mean relatively popular, not like millions of people. But I realized that people don't know what is surrender. So even I was very late in realizing that the importance of surrender, and even now I am not totally surrendered. I am not going to preach that you surrender and then only then you will make a progress. You may make some progress. I'll just tell you what it is, and then it's up to you, to take steps towards surrendering. To understand surrender, one must understand the mind, how it functions. The tendency of the mind is survival. The tendency of the mind is to keep itself intact, to keep itself in the same state that it is right now. And body is an extension of the mind, so it starts with the body. And anything that supports the body is also, owned by the mind. Mind says it is mine. For example, my house, because it supports the body, so I call it as my house. And I call my body as me. Sometimes I call it my body, but most of the time I'm calling it as me. When I say I'm talking about the mind from the point of view of the mind. So mind calls it as me. The mind does not stop there actually. The mind does not stop at the physical stuff. It goes ahead and calls its memories as me. So a person is born. So a sum total of all the memories, whatever events happened from the point of view of that mind, the mind calls it as me and I. And not only the memories, it goes ahead and says the thoughts are me, emotions are me, I am happy, I am sad, I am angry. So, and these things are obvious. We usually don't pay attention, but being a seeker, we need to pay attention to the most ordinary things, and you'll find that the most basic knowledge lies in most ordinary experiences. So if you pay attention to the mind, it will go ahead and call its beliefs, its treasure of beliefs as itself. It will go ahead and call, I'm an Indian. Now, being an Indian is just an idea, it's a belief. It is our conditioning, because we are born in a specific place, and that place is named after something. It's named. A specific name has been given, and the society told us that, oh, you are born here, so you are also Indian. So it becomes our identity, our part of our personality. So what kind of person I am? I am Indian. And this is just a very small belief. And then the religion, for many people, their religion becomes their identity. And it does not stop there. Even the smallest beliefs, the mind owns those beliefs. And what happens is, when the mind encounters something which goes against the beliefs, it tries to defend it. You see? Now, it won't be that obvious to you if you never paid attention to this tendency of the mind, but take a deeper look, take a closer look at the behavior of the mind. So, if somebody enters your house without your consent, you really get angry. You want to kill that person, you want to fight that person, you want to drive that person out. Why? Because the house belongs to you. Mind says it is my house. How come you are inside my house without my permission? And relatives, somebody tries to harm our relatives, our friends, the mind jumps into action, tries to protect them, because it owns them. It likes to own the people also, because they are connected with its survival somehow. You will always find that the mind will try to protect things which are protecting itself. It is not concerned with protecting stuff that is of no importance to its survival. Now, these tendencies are very base tendencies. We call it ego, and technically, but normally we can call it mind, because most of the people, they operate from the level of ego. Very very rarely it happens that the ego is surpassed and the higher mind comes into the function. It happens, but not 24 hours. So this is very obvious that we protect our belongings, and the second thing, we protect our body most. So why? Because that is me, that is I, and that is the tendency of the mind, that is the nature of the mind, to protect the body, because body keeps the mind engaged in this world, and the mind is habitual, of kind of addict of being in the world. So it wants to protect the body as long as possible, and it resists even the death. It is natural that it will resist the sickness, illness, or any kind of harm to the body. That is natural, but it will resist the death also, and it will try to make the body last as long as possible. So this much is obvious to us. For a fairly intelligent person, this kind of behavior is obvious, but nobody goes inside and looks what the mind is doing inside. Now, the mind is protecting all its thoughts. The mind is protecting all its memories. Let us say a person has a thought that I am very good looking. Now, go to that person and tell the opposite. You are ugly. Now see the reaction of the person. It's not going to be very good. I actually don't recommend you do this in real. Just an example, that say something which goes against the thinking. We also call it mentality, which goes against the mentality of the person, and see the reaction. The reaction is exactly the same as if the person has been attacked physically. Person will defend, becomes defensive, tries to insult you back, or some will try to hit you back. So I don't really recommend that you do that experiment on people, but you will understand. The best thing to experiment on is your own mind. So try to find a belief that you hold, and try to imagine somebody talking just the opposite of it. Let us say you have a belief that you are honest and very fair and just person. I'm not saying you are not, but let us say this is the belief. And if somebody comes to you and says, no, you are not that, you are actually very dishonest and a liar, and see the reactions in your mind, see the reactions in your body, how the mind becomes troubled instantly and starts defending. Now, why does the mind do that? Because it does not know the difference between physical and non-physical. It does the same thing for everything. This is the essence of it. So why am I telling you all these things? Because you are obviously not concerned with all these worldly stuff. You are concerned with knowledge. You are concerned with freedom, and you are concerned with spiritual stuff, not the worldly stuff. So why? The thing is, the mind will do the same thing when it comes to knowledge. The mind will do the same thing even if it is the highest kind of teaching. the mind will resist. The mind will throw up a defense response as a reaction to anything new that it believes is not true. It is not going to accept it. But fortunately for us, there is a higher part of the mind which we also called as intellect or intelligence or buddhi or discrimination or vivek. Now these are all our logical and reasoning ability. The vivek is that only. So discrimination. So these are all higher abilities of the mind which are kind of sleeping in most of the population, but a seeker, sharpens them, because just like I said, the mind is the only tool you got to get the knowledge. So we sharpen them, and we'll instantly notice this, that there is some kind of discomfort. The most common kind is, when you go to a person and tell them that you are not a body, you're going to die, the body is going to die. What am I without the body? So this is the common defense that I have seen it myself actually. So never start with this kind of teaching. If you want to start with, oh, you are body, because anyway everything is you, if you want to take that point of view. When you suddenly drop a bombshell on a person, even if the person is an advanced seeker or very very knowledgeable person, the first reaction of the mind is resistance. It does not want to accept that teaching. What is the solution? And the solution is to recognize, become aware that our mind is doing that. Our mind is not entertaining the ideas of the teacher or a book or your friend or anybody, and is not ready to look into the matter honestly and sincerely, and is just throwing a knee-jerk response, rejecting the teaching, the incoming knowledge. If you become aware of this thing and we let go of this resistance, we let go of the fight that the mind is, has started inside you, that action is called surrendering. So surrendering is nothing. It is letting go of the resistance of the mind towards knowledge. And why is this most important for a seeker? Because if you don't do it, if you're not interested in looking into what the other has to say, whether it is a guru, whether it is a teacher, whether it is a book or anything else, then you will never gain any knowledge. I'm very clear about this actually. Very straightforwardly I say, no surrender equals no knowledge. Knowledge is simple, you see. It is very very simple. The spiritual knowledge is the simplest of the kind. It doesn't even require that much intelligence, you see. So why do people spend years and years and years, 20 years, 40 years, seeking since 40 years, I'm noticing that because we have started the other group now, where we do the face-to-face meetings, and there is a questionnaire there before anybody wants to join that group. They have to answer the question, and some questions, 4 or 5 questions are there, and one question is, for how long have you been seeking? And there are many answers. Usually there are newcomers, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but I've seen some answers like 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, since birth. So if the knowledge is so simple, if it can be put into 3 or 4 sentences, if you if you heard of the Mahavakya or the great sentences of Vedic knowledge, they are just 1 or 2 sentences, isn't it? That is all of the knowledge there is. Why is it so difficult for the mind to get that knowledge? Now the answer is only one: resistance. The mind does not surrender completely. The mind holds on to the beliefs. When let us take spiritual belief, like when you die you go to heaven. I have encountered people to whom I say, no, you do not go to heaven. Probably you will never not even know that you are dead. Most of the people they are not that aware. So just like they don't know that they are asleep, they don't know they are dead. So now it is another matter that how do I know all these things. But if I say no, there is no heaven, you will not go to heaven, you will not find anything unusual actually after death. all you'll find is another body. After a while, you'll wake up in another body. That is what happens for most of the people. And the response is kind of and not believing these things. Now, I'm not saying you need to believe it blindly, but the mind of an average person refuses to even entertain this idea that there may not be any heaven there. Why? Because the person has been conditioned since birth. When you die, you go to heaven or hell. And most people don't talk about this because they don't really feel comfortable going to hell. So it's always heaven, When a person dies, we usually say that he has departed to heaven, so Swargvasi. This belief has been, conditioned into our minds since birth, especially in India. So it is very difficult even for a seeker to get rid of it. And why are we doing all this stuff? The seeker will say, why are we, if I don't want to go to heaven, why am I even listening to you? They want to gain something. They want to get something out of their practices. Isn't liberation like going to heaven? No. I mean, if you put all these very commonsensical things in front of a seeker who is full of beliefs, the mind will not accept it. Their mind will not accept it. And a good amount of resistance is, put forward. There will be walls of resistances, and it becomes very difficult to even crack it a little bit. And this is where the surrendering comes in. So such people are not surrendered. They don't have a receiving attitude. They are not sitting in the posture of receiving. You must have seen the beggars. How they sit. They sit with their hands stretched. They are begging. A seeker needs to sit like that. I'm not saying they need to physically really sit like that. Mentally, in the mind must be in that posture. So you will encounter this phrase, receiving posture in my blogs many times, many articles, and you must be wondering what is that. So how to get into the receiving posture? The body need not do that. You can tell from a body language whether the person is surrender or not, but the mind needs to do that. How to do that? Now this is the important question. How to surrender? You see. Now you have realized the value of the surrender. No surrender, no progress, no knowledge. Very, very straightforward, very clear. In my experience, actually, I don't know how the other teachers teach it. My teacher told me a simple process. There are stages of surrender. Now I forgot how many are there. So the first stage is you surrender to Guru. You surrender to a person, you surrender to a teacher. This is the first stage, and it is very important stage because many people fail here. Why do I need a guru? They say, I can learn myself. Why do I need to surrender? Even if I want a teacher, why should I surrender myself to the teacher? And this is the attitude, and this is, you will recognize, is also resistance. And the first thing we do is we convince our mind to at least surrender to somebody we trust. And we listen to everybody, we openly listen to everyone, and we choose a few people, a few teachers to surrender our mind to. And that means that we accept the possibility that they may be right, maybe they have something, and we entertain that. We don't blindly believe. Surrender does not mean blindly believing. Surrender means simply opening your mind to the new ideas, to the new teachings, to the new concepts. And once you open your mind to these things, your mind will open to new experience. You see, it goes very, very deep. The resistance goes very, very deep. If you are resisting, then you will never have the experience also. Now, one example is, sometimes I recommend, not sometimes, always, I recommend to do astral projection practices. Now, many people resist that. Why you are on the path of knowledge? Why are you asking us to, take up the occult practice? Now, astral projection has become an occult practice through the years because of its, I don't say misuse, but bad use. People are not competent in that art, so they use it in any way they want, and it has become a mumbo jumbo thing. So the first response of a seeker is, no, this is, I want pure knowledge, I don't want this. The thing is, this is resistance, and if you are not if the person is not ready to even experiment, then the experience will never come. So I'm not telling you to do that, to have fun, or to, gain powers, or, or leave your body permanently, or something like that. This recommendation is to gain some experience of the universal mind. Now, what this does is this, blows open the mind completely. That is what happens. More surrendering happens actually. The more evidence you get about the spiritual knowledge, the more surrendering happens. You are more inclined to listen, and you question more. When there is full resistance, there are not even questions actually. Oh, I know this, so why should I ask? And this is the attitude. So no surrendering and not opening is equal to not opening to new experience. And as we have seen, that experience is the only way to gain knowledge. There is no other way. You can listen to me, forever here on the meter, but the only way to see whether I'm telling whatever I'm telling is true or not is by experience. So most of the time, I'll ask you to go to your experience, find out from your experience whether what I'm telling is true or not, whether it satisfies the criteria of your truth. No experience means no progress. So an opening of the mind is needed, and the first stage is surrendering to Guru. Now, if this happens, your progress will speed up. Like it will, if you are going at 20 miles per hour, you will now be going at 100 miles per hour, just because you surrendered. The second step is to surrender to the universal mind. What is Guru? Guru is part of the mind. Guru is part of the universal mind. We are also part of the same. Once you reach the state, the Guru is no longer needed, and mind gets all the knowledge directly from the universal mind. And if you don't surrender to that, if you don't open yourself to what the universal mind has to offer, then it becomes a struggle. So how to do that? It cannot be done actually. It happens, but you can do some efforts to get there, to get on path at least. So one of the practice that I usually recommend is introspection. What we are doing in introspection, we are asking questions and waiting for the answer, waiting for an experience. And it won't be an extraordinary experience, it will be ordinary. But who gives us the experience? What gives us the experience? It is very difficult to see at first, but it is the universal mind that provides the experience. Now, universal mind is not a person, you see. There's nobody sitting there, pressing buttons on some big screen and fine. So you are asking for an answer, okay, take this answer. No, it's not like this. So the mechanisms of the universal mind are very, very mysterious, It's difficult to describe them, but you'll find that if you start introspecting, sit quietly, meditate and ask questions, you start getting the answers. This has been my experience. So this is the second stage. If you don't believe in this, you say, oh, it's mumbo jumbo, we need a teacher, we need books to get knowledge. And the knowledge cannot come simply by sitting and questioning. It will never come like this. That is a form of resistance again. You need to surrender a little bit, experiment first, then make up an opinion about it. And better if you don't make up any opinion at all, keep practicing, keep experimenting. So the third stage is surrendering to the self, and that happens when there is enough knowledge, so much so that you don't need more. You make an intention and the knowledge is there, and it happens. It cannot be done right now, especially if you are just starting. It's not possible. So that is the last stage where we surrender to the self. And what do I mean by surrendering to the self? We become the self. Instead of mind, we behave as if we are consciousness. And then you will find that you don't need knowledge after that. You don't even need knowledge. What is the use of knowledge? You are already there. So it is the last stage. So a mind will go to the last one only after liberation, you see. It's not possible to do it for the mind before liberation. So our ancient Rishis, teachers, they emphasized on liberation. They don't say that, okay, you need to become consciousness now. They say, okay, liberate yourself first. By that, they mean liberation of the mind, you see. As long as there are mental tendencies, there are tendencies of the mind, there are vrittis, there are vasanas. These words are, kind of very common in spiritual circles. So they only mean the tendencies and desires that are, in the mind. They don't go away. They never go away. So they go away only when the mind goes away totally. So that is the surrendering to the self, and it happens slowly. And I have a practice for that actually. I'm doing it, and I recommend everybody to do it, and that is being aware. It is very simple. I'm not giving anybody any strange practices, standing on the head and cutting their tongues or something like that. No, just very simple, and it is very effective. Being aware is being conscious, taking the point of view of the consciousness always, doing it 24/7. This is being aware. Seeing the mind as an object, seeing the mind as your belonging instead of being you. What the mind is doing, what kind of thoughts it is producing, what kind of actions it is producing, what the body is doing, what is happening in the world, what the people are doing, why they are doing what they are doing. This is awareness. So just be aware 24/7, and you will be setting up a path towards surrender to the self. Yes, very effective, very effective actually, and it is probably the most powerful practice that there is. And all the practices like the Ashtanga yoga and anything, tantric methods, everything, that are all geared to get you into a state where you are aware 24/7, isn't it? It's called samadhi. What is samadhi? You are not only alert, it is not really alert concentration, it is a restful, peaceful witnessing, especially the savikalp samadhi. Nirvikalp is not very useful. I don't know how that will be useful for a practitioner. It is blissful, but if you want to progress, go into savikalp samadhi, go into awareness. How to do that? Well, that is a big subject. So in our next meetup, not this group, the other group, the self-help group, which is meeting on 20th Sunday in Pune, I'm going to give you an outline of how to remain aware, the basic tips and tricks of how to become aware. The first thing, surrendering to a guru, you need to do it yourself. It depends on your interest. If you are very interested in gaining knowledge, you will hunt for a guru. You will not sit quietly. You will hunt for a teacher. You will hunt for books, and you will get it. And you will listen, and that comes naturally out of interest and curiosity. If you have this intention of gaining knowledge and you find there is resistance in the mind, it goes to sleep, or it starts a stream of thoughts that are not relevant to what is going on in the lecture or satsang or whatever, and it is easily distracted, or is after unusual experiences and stuff that we think is spiritual, then know that the mind is throwing up resistance. You need to surrender there, bring in the higher parts of the mind, discriminate, evaluate your own behavior, and surrender the lower one. So now it is very difficult thing to find a good guru, because surrendering to any guru is not recommended. You need to experiment first, because there are many teachers out there that they have knowledge, but they have no intention of making their disciples progress. They are after money, fame, or something like that. Probably some are very honest, but some may be deluded. They think they know a lot, but you need to judge a guru yourself, and that is another topic, how to find a good guru, how to find something that suits you. But that surrendering needs to happen first, and then you'll progress very fast. And surrendering to the universal mind will be your next step, and then surrendering to the self. as far as my understanding goes, these are the steps. Now, other teachers have other ways of telling you. Like surrender to God, they will say. Surrender, let everything happen. Don't worry about liberation. Don't worry about moksha, and just pray to this God. This assumes a doer. Now, doer is in the context of the mind. When I say go and surrender, so that does imply a doer. Now, in spiritual things, you must have noticed that everything depends on the context. In the context of the mind, the doer makes sense because mind thinks that it is doing it. What is actually happening is the mind is simply mechanically following its conditioning. So when somebody tells, okay, go and surrender, the mind says, yes, I'll surrender, and then it goes ahead and cuts down the resistances, cuts down the beliefs, becomes open, and it says, oh, I did that, I surrendered. But what happened is, these words that fell into the mind, they cause that action. So simply listening to this lecture is opening your mind actually. Even if you don't surrender, it will not go waste. because the conditioning is already inside your mind now, you cannot get rid of it. So one day this will wake up. It's like a seed. Whatever I'm saying is like a seed. When you'll find yourself resisting, the seed will wake up and you'll suddenly become aware. Oh, I heard that there can be resistance. I need to surrender here. I need to take proper action now. I need to open to these new teachings. And that is what's going to happen. Then mind will say, okay, I did it. It doesn't matter actually. Yes, Mukul is saying, we need to only reiterate. Yes. The mind operates on conditioning, you see. There is nothing in the mind but conditioning, isn't it? The karmic stuff, what do you call it? Samskaras. So, if you replace your resistance, which is a samskar, with teachings, and the job is done. Now, if you say it is doer, the mind is the doer, it doesn't matter actually. So, where was I? The chapter of Ramesh Balsekar. Yes, Ramesh Balsekar is also my favorite teacher, and he makes it very, very clear the concept of doer. There is no doer actually, but then how is mind able to do anything at all? How is mind able to follow a teaching also if there is no doer? So he makes it very, very clear. So yes, I recommend go and read Balsekar, and if you like his a very good student of him is currently giving satsangs, Roger Castillo. I don't know I'm pronouncing his name correct or not. So yeah, he is a very good disciple of Balsekar, and he is very clear, very, very clear about this thing. You will not regret listening to him. So right now he is giving satsangs. All the satsangs are on YouTube. If you want to find the link, go to my blog, go to teachers, and there you will find the link of his YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Yes, very good, very useful stuff. And this is the topic of surrendering. You need to be somewhat careful about surrendering. If you get a book and you say, okay, I need to surrender now and you just gobble up the book, believe blindly whatever is written in the book, and that is not recommended. That is not recommended actually. Surrendering doesn't mean blindly falling into a trap. Now, I think most of you are, intelligent enough to know this, but I just make it very, very obvious. Surrendering is not surrendering of a criminal, that like a criminal surrenders to police. It's not like that. Surrendering.
And I guess as a seeker, you would have to figure out which is bullshit and which is true, right?
That's right. So when you are surrendering, be very careful. Discriminate what is resistance and what is blind belief. You need to give up resisting part, not the evaluating part. And the evaluation of the teaching must be done through the intelligence, you see. And if it is bullshit, it is bullshit. Then no matter how much you surrender, you need to discriminate. That comes via experience. Surrendering is discriminating what is useful for you and what is not. So if you surrender to bullshit, that's not going to be useful, Yes, you achieved the surrendering, but you'll never progress on your path.
Exactly.
So
Makes it even longer.
yes, so if you are, yes, Mukul is saying nothing is wasted. That will be a lesson to learn. Sometimes you'll fall for fake gurus. Sometimes you'll fall for teaching that is totally useless, and that also becomes knowledge because that does not work. You wasted 1 year, 2 year in doing some kind of sadhana, sitting in a cave and stuff, and it did not work. Now maybe it worked for somebody else, but not useful for you. So you need to discriminate all these things and then surrender to. If you get the results, you surrender to that teaching. That should happen naturally. Sometimes the mind is too strong. The tendencies, survival tendencies are too strong. So you need to intervene. The higher mind needs to intervene. Look at what the mind is doing, and surrendering will happen. So this was the topic for today. I hope it was useful. And any question on surrendering before we close?
Well, my question is, I hope that next meetup, the topic would be about the first part of surrendering, like finding a guru.
Okay, so what we'll do before Guru, I'm going to take up the qualities of the student, because surrender is one of the qualities. So we'll go ahead and discuss the qualities of the student, and then we'll go into the Guru stuff. It is. I stay away from such things. I don't recommend gurus and all, because one guru can be good for one person and can be totally useless for another. These things happen. So all I say is, experiment. Open yourself and experiment with everything. And never say that, oh, this thing is totally bullshit, I'm not going to even look at that. So you'll find that you'll always learn. And if it is bullshit, you'll learn that also.
That's true.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today's meetup. And next one will be on Wednesday 9:30. We'll meet again with a basic topic, and we'll continue the regular topics. But there will be first half an hour will be 45 minutes will be basic stuff. So today we saw the presence, and then in the next meetup I'm going to take up what is the presence consists of. And as you already know, it is of two parts, experience and the experiencer. So I'll give you a direct experience of that. You will be able to directly see that the presence has these two things. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the next meetup. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pure experiences.
You were listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan. For more, please visit pureexperiences.blogspot.in.